kind of a moron forgets to pick up his laptop at a repair shop? You're a Biden. Act like one.
Everything he built his life, I just ruined it all.
I want to know everything that's on that laptop that can ruin my erection.
My friends, it's time to party!
We interrupt the broadcast of this previously scheduled movie episode of Chapo Trap House to bring you the news that Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II has died. Long live King Charles III. I know this is going to be a rough day for our British listeners or everyone who follows the show in the UK. We are going to continue with the movie episode as planned. We're going to leave you some time to sort of mourn the loss of your sovereign and just sort of take on what this all means. To our Irish listeners of the show, do you go off? You've been training for this day for years, and now the time has finally come. Just let it all go. Let it all.
That's right. The 96-year-old lady just turned into dust like Yoda. She's owned. She's so owned.
You guys want to hear some words that I wrote?
Yeah.
It's just like top of the head I came up with. Her Royal Majesty's passing is not only a tragedy for England, Britain, the UK, and Commonwealth, but all decent people everywhere. Queen Elizabeth was our last link to a lost age of magic and glory, radiating the world with light. After a life of service, she rests in God's kingdom. There's just a little that
was beautiful.
Top of the dome. Thank you.
That was beautiful. I felt that. That was some real shit. And the shit people are saying out there on social media, dog, it's so fucked up.
Honestly, I will say I normally hate days on Twitter where it's a 180-year-old person dies and they're like, oh, the fucking Lenin killed you, boring, don't care, shut up. But, as a Princess Diana fan, there is some happiness there, but for the most part, this is just nothing. She was an extremely old woman who, as Matt said, returned to dust, literally.
She won. She got away with it, folks. I'm sorry. No guillotine for Liz.
Is it? Prince Charles is next?
Yep.
Yeah, baby. Charles III.
King Charles III. Let's hope it ends up similar to how Charles II, how his reign ended. Was he the one who got his head chopped off?
Having a lot of bastard kids?
Oh, wait, no, is it Charles I? Charles I. Yeah, okay.
I will say that Andrew Sullivan post was kind of made this all worth it. That was awesome.
He had tears in his eyes from the bloody masterclass of the reign of the sovereign monarch, Queen Elizabeth II. I think the tweet that I saw this morning that summed it up best for me was all of the jokes that you could conceive of about Queen Elizabeth dying, or all the ways you can make fun of British people being sad because their queen is dead, just pale in comparison to any sincere tweet by anyone who is a fan of the British monarchy. Nothing will be funnier than that. So, I mean, honestly, just like I said, if you're a British listener to the show, I'm sorry how terrible your TV is going to be for the next several weeks.
Some of the worst television ever committed to film.
I think the worst in a 30-year period, easily.
Yeah.
And, if you're an Irish listener to the show, bro, we're on the way. We coming to Dublin for that pack watch.
I got yelled at by a cop last time I was in Dublin. I'm not going back. I didn't like how I was treated. Did I tell you guys about that?
No.
I thought that was Glasgow. I thought it was
no. They were nice to me.
Okay.
No, they were even though they gave me a ticket for throwing on a cigarette butt on the ground, which is where cigarette butts go, by the way. They were very nice to me. And then the tradie was like, "You don't have to pay that," whatever the accent is. But in Ireland, okay, so there was a stabbing near our hotel, and I'd awoken that morning, and I went to get a pastry, and look, okay, I saw yellow tape around a door. And it's usually, okay, that just means that someone's fixing an electrical box. I'm sorry. It didn't say police on it. And so I went under it to get to the hotel, and some just fucking just ham. Those guys whose their eyes are too small and it's distracting. It's really distracting. They have they have the caveman brow a little bit.
Yeah. Like Michael Caine says in Get Carter, two piss holes in the snow.
Exactly. Yeah. Just one of those cops just screamed at me for walking through a crime scene, and it's okay, then put police on your yellow tape.
It said Garda, probably.
It's one stabbing and the guy didn't die. That would be the most peaceful day ever in Chicago. Why are you so stressed out? Fuck you. The pastry wasn't even good. It sucked. It fucking sucked dick. It was a donut where the breading was too fucking spongy. So I'm not going back. I did not like how I was treated. Rest in peace, the Queen. Let's reunite Ireland and the UK, where no police officer yelled at me, by the way. That was 3 years ago.
Yeah. Well, they'll pay for it. They will pay for it eventually. All right. So yeah, the Queen's dead. Let's get on with the show, because this episode, folks, if there was ever a movie made to be a Chapo movie episode, it's today's episode.
Right. Having watched it, I think that's the only reason they did make it.
Yeah.
I have a feeling we disagree wholeheartedly, all of us on this movie.
Okay. Of course, we are talking about the recently Breitbart produced, Robert Davi directed movie, My Son Hunter. Now, I know how Felix thinks about this. I'm just going to kick it off and found the whole affair disappointing and dreadfully dull.
Yeah.
But yeah,
100%.
I just thought it was
Z's, baby.
yeah, it was
fucking boring.
You know, he was going for this whole like Martin Scorsese, Adam McKay, like kind of like Big Short, Wolf of Wall Street thing. But there was just no. I mean, most of the movie takes place is just Hunter talking to his dad in a car for about 40 minutes, and then just like most of the story is told in flashback. But Felix, you were the dissenting view from this. You said that this was your favorite conservative movie we've seen, save for Assassin 33 AD.
Absolutely,
Which,
yeah.
That is a good movie. I will agree with that.
Amazing. And, I still put that as number one. So I think, okay, the handicaps of this movie are obvious. And I think that they are obstacles that no filmmaker can really overcome if you choose to make your Hunter movie this way. Like, there are probably 10, 20 amazing versions of a Hunter movie you can make, but this version of it is the hardest to make interesting because you're essentially making the whole middle act like Lev Parnas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that is.
There's so many fucking Slavs in this goddamn movie. I do not give a shit about Igor Stroke Me Off.
So that is the obvious reason that you guys hate this movie. And I will admit it is a core weakness that so much of this movie is the conservative version of Lev Parnas. It's like, oh, Hunter Biden met with fucking Igavny Yegorov, and he invested in a shell company that was owned by his friend who was on the Delaware University crew team. And it's like who gives a fuck? Like, they all, either they all do this or like who fucking care? Like, yeah, whatever. But that part, the stuff where like the Chinese guy gives him the diamond, I still like that, even though it was part of an overall more boring plot. That is still not important to me as the very interesting job that Robert Davi does directing, the fantastic Biden they got, who, as far as I know, has never acted before, is literally a guy who probably went up to Robert Davi.
What are you talking about?
He was awesome. He was amazing. He chewed the scenery. He
shit, for one thing. That was great acting. He looked more like Trump than Biden.
No one looked like who they were playing. Lawrence Fox looks like he has been trying to get jaw cancer his entire life. He does not look like Hunter Biden. No one in this movie looks like who they're supposed to play. Fucking Gina Carano looked like Marjorie from Veep. She's probably done the worst job in the entire movie. Terrible actor. She sucks. But the guy who played Joe, awesome. I like what Lawrence Fox does with Hunter. You have to admit, my brother wouldn't have fucked my wife. Hard line. That went hard. And overall, I love this, and I think it's the second best conservative movie in the world.
Baffling.
Felix, I was very primed to like this, and like when you got talent like Robert Davi behind the camera, it's going to have a certain higher level of the quality. The sheen is better than most conservative movies.
That's for sure. It's got a decent sheen. It actually kind of looks like a real movie.
It was filmed. It was filmed in Serbia for about $50,000 or something like that. But no, this is true. The set that is their recreation of the Chateau Marmont was created in an abandoned sugar factory in Serbia. Yeah. But look, Davi, he's been around the greats. He's been around Verhoeven, John McTiernan. So he's got a little bit more flair to it. And there's a lot of like I said, Adam McKay, Martin Scorsese, like Wolf of Wall Street style, like breaking the fourth wall and like giving you information with this like a baffling decision to include a lot of animated clip art and like boing sound effects and like cash register sound effects to punctuate the action.
That stuff really annoyed me because that was endemic of one of the things that makes popular art of any kind really the most unbearable is the fact that most popular films, especially something that like this where like they think they're getting the story out or whatever the fuck, assumes that the audience is stupider than the filmmakers. And so it has this, it's like they're instinctively like talking down to the audience, but they themselves are fucking morons.
Well, yeah. And I think they could have solved that problem here if they were like, hold on, this Lev Parnas crap is really boring.
Seriously, it's like if you're smart enough to understand, my audience requires boing noises and cartoon dollar signs bags to be bouncing around like Clippy to go understand what's happening, then maybe don't have 25 minutes talking about corporate governance of Ukrainian natural gas companies.
I will say though, I mean, like as far as a bit of like a piece of right wing agitprop goes, I'm going to just say that like I take basically as true pretty much everything that this movie presents about Hunter Biden's laptops and his business dealings.
Sure,
and the centerpiece of the movie, like the media spiking of the laptop story, is also essentially accurate in its depiction of what happened. And like I take as read that Joe Biden and his family and his brother and with Hunter as the point man was doing all kinds of shady shit in Ukraine and China. And like, like I said, like I do not really take issue with any of the facts as presented in this movie. I will just say though, as a piece of right-wing agitprop, I was sort of stunned by essentially how sympathetic a figure Hunter comes across as in this movie. I mean, do you guys disagree with me there? Like, I thought it was just like I wasn't, it was like for a movie trying to like, I mean, I guess it's trying to say like his dad is the real villain and Hunter, they have like an Oedipal reading that Hunter really like secretly, subconsciously wants to kill his father. But yeah, like it just, this movie could be made about any of Trump's kids. Like this movie could easily be my son Don Jr. Like in every single detail.
If you made this movie about Trump's kids, one of the advantages is it wouldn't be quite as boring,
Yeah.
Just because like their equivalent business deal is like, let's make the Secret Service, like let's make their burgers really dry, so they have to get more like rebranded Trump Hunt's ketchup. And we can build the Secret Service $70,000 in ketchup packets. It's very simple. It's very simple. It's not like, he met Victor Grugan, and then he told him not to talk to the prosecutor. And then the prosecutor, like, he went to meet Joe Biden, and Joe Biden told him he had to leave the country. And that, like, just there isn't 45 minutes explaining, the natural gas thing or the Chinese investment thing. I do. That the scene where like, okay, the weirdest character in the movie, the prostitute liberal activist.
Yeah.
I think, she kind of like gives up the game of how much I think the more time they spent with Hunter, the more they liked him, honestly, where they're like, you hate your dad. Very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah. It did seem like they kind of realized, even as they were shooting it, like, oh no, like this is a classic character with a classic like fatal flaw and everything. And therefore we can't make him who we want to. Although they do sort of at the end come around to him being a bad guy for the most disingenuous reason on earth, but we'll get to that.
Yeah. All right, so let's go into the film itself. I would like to begin by just discussing the lead character, Hunter, is portrayed by the British actor Lawrence Fox. And I got to say, like, he doesn't look anything like Hunter, but I didn't think it was like a bad performance. And Lawrence Fox is an interesting guy. He's like Gina Carano. He's sort of like a British actor who's been canceled for a various number of his public statements about wokeism, immigrants, trans people. He ran for mayor of London in 2021. He's sort of like a crank right-wing British actor, but he is also the son of one of my favorite actors, James Fox, who starred in two of my favorite movies of all time, Performance and Sexy Beast. Now, James Fox, interestingly, after he got done filming Performance, had a mental breakdown, retired from acting, and became an evangelical Christian. So, I mean, it's like an interesting family connection here. Also, interesting family connection for you, Felix. Can you guess what normal movie Lawrence Fox was starred in? Not starred in, but was a member of a large ensemble cast? That's right. Robert Altman's Gosford Park.
So there was a traumatic childhood memory that was triggered when I was watching this movie, but I still, made it through off the strength of his performance as Hunter. I would say the best performance in the movie, probably.
I'll say one thing I appreciated about it is that he doesn't really do a good American accent.
No,
but he does seem at times to be trying to do a Canadian accent, which is a very interesting choice for the character. I was intrigued by that. When he would say against, I'm like, all right, because I know you're not Canadian. Why are you doing that?
And another thing I will say about like at least the authenticity of Lawrence Fox's performance is that he looked absolutely drenched with sweat the entire movie.
It was a wet boy.
So it was just like, it was a really like kind of like almost unnerving and like grotesque portrayal of someone who is, geeked out of their mind 24/7. So, but yeah, at the same time, I thought it was like like he did not portray Hunter as like a monster. He portrayed him as a sort of pathetic and tragic figure. So I think he brought his British acting chops to bear on this, and he couldn't help but find the vulnerability and the humanity in the target of this sort of piece of agitprop. So the movie begins with Joe Biden in a swimming pool, and then and it just he's there with Gina Carano, who's like sort of the Greek chorus of this movie as the Secret Service agent assigned to Celtic, Biden's Secret Service moniker, and he's always like smelling her hair. Every time he walks by her, he gives a big sniff. But the movie really begins with its sort of this like recreation of the Black Lives Matter protests that,
which, by the way, it dates as December 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that is one of the biggest weaknesses of this movie is the conservative propensity to just fit in everything that they're mad about.
Yeah.
Even though it's supposed to be about one thing. Like conservatives will make a movie about they'll make a movie about how like Obama is a Muslim, and then there will be like a 30-minute digression about Common Core.
Yeah. So it begins with like media coverage of, Black Lives Matter protests that they're like, this is a peaceful protest, but like there's clearly like, rioting and looting going on in the background. And we're introduced to the the second lead in the movie, who's sort of like, you know, it's like it's she's a young woman and she's there with her friends and they're like, we got to fight the fascist Trump government. You know, we want equality and equity and you know, and justice. You know, and like it's all going off, and you know, and then like the police come and they're like disperse citizens. And like it was the portrayal of the Black Lives Matter riot was pretty funny, because it was just sort of like what are they trying to say here? I mean, I know what they're trying to say, like, which is that in December 2019, every American city was razed to the ground, but
they were trying to say that the media lied about it, and then that's supposed to reflect the way that the media lied about Hunter's laptop.
Right.
And they try to emphasize that by showing a very, very poorly shot and confusing sequence where I think they're supposed to be showing Trump supporters getting attacked by the rioters. It's very hard to understand what's happening, though, but only from context was I able to decide that's what it meant, because after that they have the person in the studio going cut, you know, and then being like, they're being peaceful, and then they cut to these two activists who have film of this attack, and one of them says, "I'm going to go viral."
Yeah, and then her friend, and like it's like the one who wants to go viral will be like, she will become like the main character of this movie, and like
is that her?
Like,
Yeah.
Sure? That's Kitty.
her.
That's Kitty.
Didn't think that for a second. It never,
Okay,
it never seemed like they're never. I was like, that's
no, she's
totally.
She's just like she says, I got to go to work, and like the next scene, she's like, you know, a high class escort.
Oh
so yeah, like yeah. so she's like, I'm going to go viral, and her friend is like, no, this makes the movement look bad, and she's like, the ignorant masses like need to be protected from facts. Sometimes we need to choose the truth over facts. And then Kitty, our main character, just goes, I suppose so. I suppose so, right?
So the way that they depict the mob beating up and almost killing a Trump supporter is like, I was confused too until they literally had to mention it. It was a guy not wearing any MAGA paraphernalia, just like a guy in a parka holding his head like he has a migraine, and people going, get him out of here. And it's just a very, very I would say a blind spot in Robert Davi's otherwise perfect direction.
Well, I mean, it's just sort of like it reveals that like this movie is made in like a hermetically sealed sort of like mind, where it's just like, unless you have imbibed like hours of conservative media on a daily basis, like it just came to this movie like as like a member of the public, you know, who they were hoping to, I don't know, convince of the case that they're making here. Like there are elements of the movie that would be very confusing to you.
You know what? That's probably what it is. Probably everything that we think is like poor direction, there is some there's like a conservative Easter egg that they totally get. Like the parka that guy was wearing, that's probably a famous incident from 3 years ago called like Epic Parka Man. And that they totally, like a guy who got his teeth knocked out with a bike lock, but he hit a perfect bone mow on Black Lives Matter.
I'm sorry, I fucked up.
Rioters.
Amber reminds me. She doesn't even say, I'm going to go viral. She says, I'm going to trend.
Oh man.
So one of the like sort of Antifa young ladies is like, okay, I got to go to work now. Then we cut to, it's like Hunter entering the club. It's just like he's shot from behind, long tracking shot, like the Copacabana. He's walking into the club. There's women everywhere. He does a line of coke. It's just
okay,
like, he's
like, by the way,
sorry,
he does a line of coke, and then he dusts off the table, and there's an entire other line there.
I was going to say that showed that no one involved in this movie has ever been around drugs.
Well, I mean, how is that possible? Robert Davi was in Hollywood for the entirety of the 80s and 90s.
He would spend it the whole time he would go to all those parties, but he would just be in the corner singing Sinatra. With a highball with his hand.
It's a ring-a-ding-ding for you folks.
Baby. Oh, nice nose powder.
Okay, so like the fact that Hunter just wipes off like 3 lines of cocaine. Okay, here's another example of a baffling and weird misunderstanding going on in this movie. Okay, so like the first use, and very jarring, like when it's dropped in, the first use of like clip art animation to sort of like highlight in a kind of pop fun way like what's going on here. So like Hunter is coked out, and then like they have an animated heart on the screen that's like bumping, and it's like bing, Hunter's heart. And it's letting you know, like, oh, like he's on cocaine, like he's dangerously spun up on drugs, and it's like the heart's beating faster and faster and faster. And then Hunter's like, oh, whoa, hold on, I need to sit down for a second. He sits down and then just toasts up a big bowl of crack and just smokes it down. He's like, and the heart starts beating slower again. It's just like, wait a second, no, like it would be beating exponentially faster. Cocaine and crack are the same fucking drug. You don't smoke crack to like come down from a cocaine binge. But like throughout the movie, he's like, oh, dude, I need to chill out for a second. Hold on, let me just fire up this crack pipe.
They needed a drug consultant for this movie. There's a part where right after he smokes the crack, he takes a bottle of pills that like do not resemble any painkiller, benzodiazepine, or even muscle relaxer that anyone has ever seen. It's just like a bottle of aspirin, and he drinks it like it's a bottle of Gatorade. I don't think anyone has ever taken pills in that way.
So, Kitty the other main character. And most of this movie takes place is just like one night in a hotel between Hunter Biden and like the sort of high end escort that he has acquired for the evening and like falls in love with and spills his guts to. Is like it's Hunter telling his life story, or like not his life story, just the details of what's on his laptop to an escort. And Kitty, the escort, is like, she was one of the Antifa protesters in the beginning, but like there's like she addresses the camera too when she's like getting dolled up to strip for Hunter and like the VIPs at the club, and she goes, "Don't judge me, I'm paying off my student loans." And it was like if they had only written the movie in time to include a reference to Biden's student loan debt relief, like that would have been in there for sure. She's like, "Don't judge me. I actually don't need to do this because Biden paid off my student loans, but I'm doing it anyway because I'm a bad person." Major swerve vibes from this movie, but so yeah, essentially those are the two main characters. And one thing I noticed in the movie is like I was like taking note of it like 15 minutes into the movie, and there was like no narrative momentum. There was no narrative established at all. It was just Hunter doing drugs and like partying. There's one scene where he talks to a dog. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
Like,
So
he talks to a dog in like cartoon thought bubbles.
Yeah, so this is a very weird sequence, I will say, which I think this falls more on the script than the direction or the acting. He goes to the strip club. He like flings the entire line of coke off. He goes to the champagne room. It's like, "We're having a party, in my sugar factory hotel room. The Chateau Marmont." And then they get there. Everyone does drugs and drinks and passes out. And then the dog is like, "Actually, Hunter, these people are taking advantage of you," which is like, the movie does imply this is the correct interpretation of events, that these people that Hunter constantly hangs out with and presumably likes or thinks he likes, that they're taking advantage of him by eating samosas in the Chateau Marmont with him. That is a very weird choice, but he does kick them out.
By the way, they show them starting to party, and then they do this very long shot after the party's over of everyone passed out, and everyone is fully clothed.
No one fucks.
The ties have not even been removed on the guys. That's how much of a rager it was. And that's what was really annoying to me, is that, yes, that whole sequence, he's clearly trying to do Wolf of Wall Street style Bacchanalia. And of course, like, they're hamstrung by the fact that, I guess they think families are watching, or I don't know, is Ben Shapiro involved? They can't be totally lewd, but also just there's no narrative energy. Like
there's nothing.
It's just like, woo, and then just the shot of a bunch of people who look like they fucking passed out from a gas leak.
Yeah.
Do you remember there was one moment where when he's first with Kitty in the Chateau Marmont, he goes, "Did you know John Belushi died in the bungalow next door?" And she goes, "Who's that?" And he goes, "A comedian. He had some demons."
I that's me trying to impress a girl. I like that scene.
So
it's like telling a girl born in 1998 about John Belushi.
So yeah, he kicks all of the leeches and the hangers on out of his hotel suite. But like, and also like, after he does that, like, he like dumps out his bag looking for like little like baggies of coke or whatever, and there's just a handgun there, and he starts looking at it like he's gonna eat it, and then Kitty, his sort of confidant and like the audience stand-in for this movie, is like, no, Hunter. It's like, it's implied that she stops him from killing himself.
Yeah, this was, I would say that a lot of I was excited for like Hunter Bacchanalia, right? I was excited for like the famous I didn't expect full penetration, but I did expect like some recreation of the famous photos of Hunter fucking the sex workers, Hunter putting the M&Ms on his dick, like that type of thing. And instead it's replaced with like, a very sympathetic character study of Hunter's depression and addiction. Including this, I don't think, does Hunter talk about like playing Russian roulette in his autobiography at all? I feel like that they totally added that. They just, that is a creative choice they took.
Well, it does show him going to Skid Row to score dope.
Where a guy pointed gun in his face.
Yeah. He also mentions getting kicked out of the Naval Reserve on his first day for having like more cocaine in his blood than blood.
Okay, so he has a great excuse for that, the real Hunter. He said, actually, what happened is I bummed a cigarette from a guy who'd been doing coke, but I didn't. I didn't push it because my previous incidents with drugs, no one would believe me, and it would get out if I appealed it, and it got out anyway.
So once again, like I was appreciating just the sweaty realism of Lawrence Fox in this movie, because he looks like shit, and like he looked terrible.
Like a drowned rat.
Yeah, and like I said, I like the performance, but it's a little bit like, I don't think he kept like, Hunter is kind of a swagged out player. Like, he's a pretty handsome dude.
Very
and
good-looking.
To have this sort of like I don't know, like I mean, I don't know. Lawrence Fox is kind of a fail son himself. He's from British acting royalty. I mean, James Fox's brother, Edward Fox, another movie star. He played the Jackal in The Day of the Jackal.
Any actor who goes that far out on a limb in politics of any kind is letting you know that they're a fucking loser at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
They're bad at their job and they have to find something else to care about.
Think about
their fame or whatever.
Think about all the things that Mel Gibson, like in his heart, believes.
Yeah,
like, he
only let that shit out when they fucking got him off. When they pulled him over, when the guard was down, or when they're recording him talking to his girlfriend. He absolutely had no desire to like run for office. This guy, he created his own anti-mass political party in England that has
Lawrence Fox,
a bunch of races and has won 0 of them.
So yeah. Oh no, and it's interesting. Like,
if your career was going good, you wouldn't be doing this. I'm sorry, you'd have something else to care about.
You know that Lawrence Fox is engaged to Julia Hartley Brewer?
Who's that?
He's like this awful conservative pundit in the UK.
Oh, he used to be married to Billie Piper though.
Still looks good, by the way.
She was on Doctor Who, I think. Yeah.
Christ,
you're not a Whomstian?
Every time I learn of a new Anglo, it's always infuriating.
But like not just outside of like Lawrence Fox maybe bringing some of his own status as a failed son to bear and making Hunter a sort of vulnerable, sympathetic figure. I also think it's interesting that, as far as I know, I mean, this is the first movie that I'm aware of produced and released by Breitbart. This is like Andrew Breitbart Productions, and it just happens to be about another Hollywood coke addict and failure, but one who didn't. But one who didn't die. You know, like folks, I like the coke addicts who don't overdose.
I mean, seriously, they're about the same age.
Yeah,
they probably did a similar amount of coke. One of them's still standing. Who's got better genes?
I bet they are probably Coke Spoon Eskimo brothers.
Oh yeah. So so Hunter is like, after everyone's been kicked out of the party, Hunter is sort of like has let Kitty, the escort, sort of stick around, and he is kind of narrating his predicament to her. And he's telling her like what a fuck up and a failure he is. And then she's like, "Oh, it's not so bad. Like we all of us don't live up to the expectations of our parents. Like, hey, my dad's a judgmental asshole. He probably doesn't know I'm tricking to pay off my student loans." But he's like, no, you don't know the half of it. This is just the calm before the storm. Like, the hurricane that's going to come is going to destroy me, my family, everything. Speaking, of course, of the laptop. And at this point, Kitty doesn't really know who Hunter is. She just knows that he's a VIP connected to the government. Yeah. So at this point, Kitty is not aware that Hunter Biden is the son of the guy who's running for president against the bad orange man, as she refers to Donald Trump. But like, okay, this is when, and by the way, this is a half an hour into the movie. This is when the movie like begins to actually be a movie or have a plot or be really just any momentum at all. It's when Hunter gets a call and it's just like, oh, my dad is downstairs. Like, it's when the Secret Service shows up in the bungalow, and Gina Carano's there, and he's like, "Oh, I know these people. I got to go with them."
This is ridiculous how no one seems to realize that he's Joe Biden's son. That part is insane. That part is fucking insane. All these people are like totally transactional and are using him, not aware who he is. They just
think he's a cool guy.
Yeah,
well,
this is the guy that
drugs
lets us,
and fun are on tap, then you don't ask too many questions.
Yeah, this is the guy who lets us order, I don't know, apple pie turnovers and fall asleep with all our clothes on his floor. We've been doing it for 3 years. We love him. Who's his dad? What?
So Hunter is escorted out of the Chateau Marmont to an SUV in which Papa Joe is waiting for him. And, it's really funny. He's wearing a white bathrobe and a red scarf for this entire scene. Now, this next part of the movie is the movie. This is the next 40 minutes of the movie are Joe and Hunter talking to each other in the backseat of a black SUV. And then much of the plot is revealed in flashback. Because what's going on here is that Joe is like, "Hunter, I got to know. I know you're a drug addict and you lie compulsively. That's what drug addicts do. But I need you to tell me the truth this one time. What is the deal with the laptops?" And he's like, "Actually, Dad, there are 2 laptops." This is where the movie, like, this is the hurricane that Hunter alluded to earlier, the thing that's going to destroy him and his family. Like, his fuck up to end all fuck ups is the fact that he gave his laptop to a computer repair shop and then didn't pick it up after it was repaired for over 90 days. So it officially became the property. he just forgot about it.
He just bought another one and then he forgot that he had tried to get that one fixed. Amazing.
And we all know what's on the laptop is just, thousands of pictures of him and his dick and just doing drugs, getting fucked. And then, like, I'm sure, and then a lot of his shady business dealings. So it's the shady business dealings part where the movie really grinds to a fucking halt, even though I believe all of it to be true.
Yeah, there is, so I'm interested by all the Hunter laptop stuff, but it's weird, right? You have to sift through two rivers, kind of. You have to sift through the liberal media river of like, oh, none of this is accurate, Russian media op, and then a year later, oh, actually, like some of it's real. But then on the conservative side, I remember I read an in-depth conservative article about the laptop, and one of the things they claim is on there is a notes app document where Hunter just writes out money I made in 2017. $973,000 and 671 cents. Like it just like writing out his income in a way that no actual high income person would ever write it out. So it is hard to tell what is when it comes to Hunter's laptop. Again, like I believe all the photos are accurate, and there's probably some stuff about like, why was he on the board of a Ukrainian natural gas company? What the fuck does he actually know about that? But,
why are arrested Chinese government officials who are getting busted for doing like securities fraud shit calling up the Biden family? Why is that happening?
Yeah, no, and it is the thing that everyone in his position does, but he's just special because of the air of drama around him and the fact that God chose to make him handsome, which means he's probably a good person at the end of the day. Let's be honest.
And like, okay, so we get a lot of the Joe Biden in this movie, who's portrayed by a former Days of Our Lives soap actor who's also taken a few stabs at running for office as a conservative Republican. But yeah, the guy who plays Joe Biden apparently used to be a big like hunk on daytime soaps, and he had like thousands and thousands of female fans. So and like he didn't look like Biden, but I feel like I could see why you enjoyed this performance, because in the backseat part of the movie, we get like sort of a Joe Biden's greatest hits. We get like all the things that have been like, because he's always saying things like, "Come on, man." We get his verbal miscues and malapropisms. Like he refers to the laptop as the top lap at one point. He references Tara Reid, and he was like, "That's a good smelling woman." And then he refers to all the other accusers as dog-faced pony soldiers.
I thought the writing was weak. I think when you're like doing Biden, it's when you do things like that, when you take things from speeches and you put it in conversations, it's very clunky. But I thought his performance was very Leslie Nielsen-esque. I thought.
Yes, it was.
That's why I liked it. I think the writing sucked, but the performance amazing.
You want to talk about From the Files of Police Squad? He's like, there's a moment in the backseat of the SUV where he goes, "Hunter, I need to know about anything on that laptop that could ruin my shot. I need to know anything on that laptop that could affect my chances at winning this erection." And then he says erection, and then there's a boing. There's like a fucking wacky Zoo Crew morning sound effect dropped in.
So I guess that's breaking the fourth wall for people who don't know what an erection is.
And then also in the back of the limo, where like he's relating all of his shady business dealing, like he's telling his dad what's on the laptop so that we can like get out in front of it and like use the lying liberal media to fucking suppress the truth about it or whatever. And he starts talking about corn pop. There's a whole corn pop section where he tells the corn pop story again to Hunter in the back of the limo, which is like, yeah, it's just bad writing. If you could like what you do, Felix, you have to like sort of imbibe the Biden personality and then use that to write things that like you don't know took place. You can't just give the Biden greatest hits in dialogue.
Yeah, I wish I could have written this movie. I feel like it would have been a crossover.
That would have been something.
To get accurate Biden patter, you have to put your brain in a half waking state. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There is another really funny line where he goes, because like before they get to the Ukraine stuff and the movie grinds to a fucking halt, he's just talking about all the sordid details about like fucking his brother's wife, his brother's widow, and he just goes, Joe says to Hunter at one time, "You fucked Bo's widow and her sister at the same time," and it was just like, number one pussy getter. He just can't be stopped. He can't be stopped. These women, these young girls won't let me be. Poor, pitiful me.
Yeah, I gotta say, people have accused us of being too sympathetic to Biden, but this movie makes him into Jaime Lannister.
Yes, it really does.
Like, holy fuck.
Kingslayer, Oathbreaker. I mean, who are they to judge me?
Yeah. What right does a lion have to judge a pipe?
All right, so like then we get into the Ukraine part of the movie, and Biden keeps calling it a quick pro quo. He keeps referring to a quid pro quo as a quick pro quo.
They even flash it on the screen at one point.
Yes, to just let you know that this is an oafish misunderstanding of a popular saying by Biden. I don't know what do they say. I'll say okay. Oh wait, no. Here's where I know where I'm going. While Hunter and his father are in the SUV, at this point, Kitty has she has seen him get into the car with Joe Biden, and she's going, "Oh shit, now I know who he is. This is the son of the guy, the former vice president. This is Joe Biden's son." She then goes back up to the hotel suite and begins Googling Hunter Biden's scandal.
No, not Googling, I believe it was Julian.
Yeah.
It's some sort of it's an off-brand Google, which I only point out because later on a guy says Google and Facebook suppress it. So it's like, why would you do that?
Yeah, why would you just put Google? So
if
she
you're gonna
started
say it, you should put it.
So she, in quotation marks, she Googles like Joe Biden scandal. And then all the results are like, Jill Biden's top 5 tips for this Valentine's Day or whatever. And her rabbi, her Sherpa for like red pilling her that the media is lying to you, is a previously unnamed black character who's sort of like Hunter Biden's security for his hotel parties. This character's name is Tyrone. He is named at one point in the movie. Is the black guy in the movie is named? Yes, it's Tyrone Smithers, and he's the one who just starts telling her. She's like, hey, like. I don't see any stuff about this like on the news, and then he tells her like you have to look at like the alternative media. You have to like the mainstream media censors all this, and she's like, but these are like right wing propaganda sites. Like, isn't this like white supremacy? And he's like, yeah, that's me. I'm the black white supremacist. Like, come on. Like, he's like, this is the truth here. So she begins to get red pilled as to like the way the mainstream media has been covering for the shenanigans and hijinks of the Biden family.
I think every conservative movie that we're going to see from now on will have a based black guy character.
Yeah.
It's the de rigueur.
Yeah.
That is a hallmark of like post-Trump conservatism.
Well, speaking of post-Trump or Trump conservatism, and just the thing I think I find very funny about this movie is something that like, a movie that's like essentially intended to be a brief on behalf of Donald Trump being the legitimate president of America, that, he is somehow better than Joe Biden and his family. At one point, Kitty says to Tyrone, she's like, is this illegal? And Tyrone says, using political office to benefit your family is called influence peddling, and that's illegal. And it was just like, come on. Like, I mean, I know this is a movie that's sympathetic to Trump and his family, but come on. Like they're the kings of fucking influence peddling.
Yeah. And I guess the argument there is just that they're like not as good at it. I guess that the yields are smaller.
They didn't do it to the communists. They didn't do it on behalf of the communist Chinese. They did it on behalf of the Saudi the based royal family of the Sauds.
Yeah. I would say that the character of Tyrone presents, I think, a strength and a weakness to this movie, which is how boomer it is, right? There's been a lot of hay made about like youth reaction, and it's nothing. If you actually look at like how many people are attending church, if it keeps going at this rate, there'll be 11 Catholics in America by 2030. But this movie, instead of taking like the youth reaction Trump based approach of it's good to be racist, it falls back on the old conservative, and I think still the majority position of Republicans.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Democrats are the real racists.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, actually, everyone in Black Lives Matter is white. And it's just like a very antiquated seeming thing. But I do think that if you talk to most Republicans, they would still have that posture.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Like, I mean, like, yeah, outside of like the overrepresented and like, loud, like certain like online niche political fandoms, even the most conservative Republican would say that like, yeah, racism is bad. And actually I'm a conservative because liberals are like, they're actually racist. And Tyrone at one point brings up Devin Archer's fleecing of a Native American tribe and goes, yeah, but he says he's not racist.
Yeah, I love when conservatives get really into Native American stuff.
Well, most of them are 1/16 Native American themselves.
Yeah, that's Caesar Sayoc claimed to be 100% Seminole.
I will say, I don't know, Matt, I bet you caught this. In one of the kind of recreations of their shady Ukraine dealings, it's Joe and Hunter doing a deal, but standing in front of a movie projector that is playing Battleship Potemkin on like a giant wall behind them. So I was like, you know what? This is filmmaking right here. This is an auteur who like it's about the craft of film, but it's also about a love of film. And
I
like,
will
the
say there
history
was
of
one
movies.
shot in the movie that I thought was genuinely kind of effective, and it is Hunter and Joe standing in the movie theater, backlit by the projector, like with the projector kind of going through them. That was actually kind of a good shot. The only good shot in the movie.
I think there are multiple good shots.
What's another one?
When Joe, like overhead shot of Joe in the pool. When Joe and Hunter are dancing with the money. When Tyrone is like in the movie theater and being like, your family's bad, and Hunter going, no.
I like the scene where it's
when Dean Cain tells his liberal daughter, like, when you do the right thing, the good thing happens, or some bullshit. These
are just moments in the movie, Felix. These aren't shots. This is not one.
Okay. Okay. Well, it's not a radio play. Presumably, there was a shot there that I liked.
I like the scene where it zooms in tight on Hunter's face, and he's like, in an agonized and halting manner, relating the benefits of the Burisma energy deal that he's profiting off of, and then you just realize as it pulls out, he's thrusting spastically next to the president of Ukraine and his top oligarch as they just like get some doggy style back shots in on three lovely ladies.
Oh,
That's more faux Wolf for Wall Street stuff.
Yeah. It's the botch, but you're right. It has a very it maintains kind of a PG-13 because I think you're right. I think they because it's boomer and it's made for talk radio listeners. They all have the fantasy that families are going to watch this movie.
Yeah, a lot of goddamn. There are going to be a lot of fucking bored 14-year-old kids being forced to watch this by their students.
Oh my god! Can you imagine? Can you imagine that? This is the longest 95 minutes of your life. Sitting through this fucking movie. And then what would you take away from it other than hey, it's pretty cool to be the son of a powerful rich guy?
Yeah, no, some poor kid is being forced to watch this and their dad is going, you see that? See who the real racists are?
So it moves, it's like I said, this movie seamlessly zips along. After Hunter gets out of the limo for what feels like an hour and a half, he's back in the hotel suite. And then to Kitty, who we later turn out her real name, not her non-working name, is Great Grace Anderson or something. And he's like, I love you. And they have sex. And he's like, that was the best sex I've ever had. Normally I need to be on drugs or do something kinky, but I love you. And then he feels ready to tell her all the China dealings, which are even more sordid than the Ukraine stuff. Because the China section I thought was a lot funnier and more. It was a lot more. Just it had some juice. Because we've talked about this before. Once you start talking about Andrei Dolorevsky or whatever, my brain just turns off. But then they show him getting the big Chinese diamond. They show all the Chinese spies that he was doing business with, or apparently all of the what was it, the grain company that was a cover for stealing nuclear secrets or something like that. I don't know, but it really takes off when one of the companies that he was invested in or took money from was the Face Plus Plus software that does Chinese facial recognition, and this is where Kitty, or aka Grace, becomes to get very disillusioned with Hunter because. This is really odd. The movie was written by a guy who I think it mostly writes what's biblical adventures. And you learn that Kitty's family, in addition to her father being a high-powered attorney, who's also a judgmental asshole, they were also missionaries in China. And their family is very good friends with Uyghurs who have been disappeared into concentration camps. And she starts showing him all these photos on her iPad of Uyghurs in concentration camps and stuff. What did you guys make?
Which was very funny. At one point, she's like, they're rounding them up into camps and re-educating them. You want to have a fun time, go to Breitbart.com and search Muslim for articles. Yeah. What exactly is the Breitbart solution to the Islamic problem, and how much does it differ from what the Chinese are doing? It's the most disingenuous shit they've ever done. And I think it does come from that weepy boomer fucking thing, which is just not where the energy is and hasn't been for a long time. But it's very obnoxious. Come on, this is your big closing statement is think of the poor Uyghurs.
Well, okay, so
the fuck your feelings people. the kick their ass and take their gas people, fuck off.
Can I say that I think Robert Davi, obviously huge Trump fan, I would say the script, if we looked into whoever wrote the script, I would say it's probably a former never Trump, grudging Trump voter, Rubio,
honestly,
conservative.
Yeah, I would agree. I didn't like Trump. I thought he was boorish, but then the way that the liberals acted is I guess I have to support him.
Yeah.
Not a true believer. His instincts are all wrong. The idea that you're going to get an imagined audience of people who go to Breitbart to get their final righteous hatred of Hunter is going to be because how mean China is to the Muslims.
Yeah, he was basically the movie saying
closing argument to these people.
This is the closing argument. This is when Grace/Kitty begins to realize that, hey, Hunter is not just a sad tragic figure. He's actually very evil because he hasn't divested from these companies that are doing genocide. And she's like, Hunter, you have to understand, they won't let them practice their religious faith. And I'm like, wait, were her parents Muslim missionaries in China or something? They were trying to spread the Ummah to.
I think that maybe part of this movie is if it's not just a Rubio conservative writing it, and this is truly where they're at, maybe that they're presuming that the audience is Grace, and the the goal of this movie is to get liberals to come over to their side through Hunter stuff, through showing you that Hunter is Hunter and the Bidens are betraying the liberal cause by doing Chinese business deals, I guess. I
just looked at the writer of this movie is a guy named Brian Godawa. And like I said, I think most of his movies, most of his screenplay credits are a TV documentary is called Lines That Divide, The Great Stem Cell Debate, and Wall of Separation.
Stem cells? Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, stem cells.
Stem this thing from a time machine?
Yeah, he's he's written by, it's a weepy evangelical guy, so that's why they get all this shit about the Uyghurs at the end of the movie.
The worst possible person to write the Hunter Biden movie.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's the closing argument at the end of the movie is that China is rounding up ethnic and religious minorities and putting them in concentration camps. It's as you said, Matt, perfectly, the Breitbart audience for watching this movie is going to be yes, please, can we have some more of that in this country?
That's based, is what that's called.
So yeah, so there's all. Okay, so at this point, Kitty's I need to leave. And then Hunter gets a call from his dad that says, "Oh, like, Trump has just been impeached over the Lev Parnas call, over the over the perfect phone call." And then he's like, "Oh, sweet, like I'm in the clear. Like the media is just going to focus. Everyone's going to focus on this. Everyone's going to forget about all the Uyghurs I helped put into detention camps or whatever." And then he realizes like, oh, like he can't have Kitty back because she's having a crisis of faith. And at this point, Tyrone reveals that he has recorded their entire conversation. But like this was another part that made no sense to me, because like Tyrone has not been in the room with them for like he's just hanging out outside, and he takes a tape recorder out of his pocket and then plays back to Kitty Hunter saying like, "Yeah, I did the Burisma deal I did all the foreign corruption for my dad. He was in on it. It's all true. I'm a criminal." And then he's like, I keep this as insurance. Then he gives her the recording, and then like at first I thought he was giving her a tape recorder to be like, yeah, like record him to protect yourself as some kind of insurance for a future date. But then it became clear that he had recorded the entire movie that we just saw and was giving it to her to release to the media or do what she feels with it. But it was like it didn't make sense because it was like just something in his pocket, and he wasn't in the room with them. Did you guys confused as this by? Were you guys as confused by this as I was?
Yeah, no, I will say this is the first instance in the movie of bad filmmaking.
So essentially, like, Hunter is just like, okay, let's start the party up again. I'll fuck anything that moves. And he realizes that his laptop, that like now that Trump's been impeached, like the media is just gonna quash that. He's in the clear. He hasn't ruined his father's chance at becoming president, and it's all good. But then Kitty, the hooker with a heart of gold character, like she has to return to her life from being a social justice warrior, and then now she's like, she calls her dad. She's like, "Dad, I know we haven't spoken in a while, but I need to ask you a question. Like, what if you had evidence that would hurt your side of the case? What would you do?" And he's like, "Well, I would release it as per the rules of discovery because it could hurt my client and me later." So she's like, "Okay, like even though this makes my side look bad, I have to release it." So she calls a journalist who at first I thought was Matt Drudge because he had a little pork pie hat, but it's just some other guy who writes for the New York Post. And she's like, "I have a story that's going to be the biggest of your career. I can't do it over the phone. We have to meet in person." And then they like meet on a park bench, and she's like going to give him a recording of Hunter Biden confessing to crimes. And he's like, "I can't touch this story. No one would take it seriously." It's like maybe the New York Post and Fox News would cover it, but then no one else would, so it would go nowhere. And I was just sort of like, what? Like I don't know. Like this is the movie gets very. It falls apart, if it had.
Well,
Yeah,
I did enjoy though that when she calls up her lawyer, her reporter friend, he has an old timey hat on and is writing on a manual typewriter. So you know that he's a real shoe leather reporter. Once again, dumb people making condescending films. That's what you get.
You just
didn't have a little press card in his hat. That was the one note they missed.
There is. I remembered my favorite part of the movie just now that had completely escaped my memory until this moment. The scene where the otherwise dreadful Ukraine part, where all the oligarchs and like the prosecutors are sitting around talking about the deal. How like one of the oligarchs goes, "Don't forget my cut," which is hysterical because it's like, okay, so you were afraid that you were conspiring pro bono. Very, very good. Hallmark of a Rubio-and screenwriter.
Well, I'll tell you my favorite part of the movie, which happens right now at the very end. So Kitty decides to, as she did in the very beginning of the movie, she was like, "I'm going to trend." Well, she decides to just put out on Twitter herself the Hunter Biden recordings. And this is where the movie becomes kind of like an alternate reality. It suggests an alternate reality. So she releases Tyrone's recording of her and Hunter's magical night together, where he confessed to all of the influence peddling and all of the foreign corruption and undermining America through Chinese Communist Party. And then then the movie on screen shows like a barrage of hateful abuse, like "Let's get this whore, you fucking bitch," like hashtag Antifa, hashtag Antifa get her. And then she's like looking sad, and then out of nowhere,
one of them was,
on the screen,
"I am triggered."
Yes.
And then so like, "I am triggered. Let's get this bitch. Hashtag Antifa. Hashtag social justice." And then after this cascade of abuse, just out of nowhere, and then on screen, Rudy Giuliani's Twitter avatar pops up, and it says, "Rudy Giuliani, hi, I'm interested in your story."
Talk about someone who would sniff someone's hair. I like there is one touch of filmmaking I love with her while she's like releasing the tapes. The way that they de-whore her.
Yeah.
They like every scene after Dean Cain brings her back to the light side.
Dean Cain does not play her father. It's just the Dean Cain.
Who was that?
He's just some guy.
Some guy.
Oh, just some other guy with a huge face.
Yeah.
I didn't even look it up. I was like, "Oh, that has to be Dean Cain." Oh. Maybe that's who they implied who it was. Maybe that was supposed to be Paul Manafort. But yeah, after the, I guess, other big face actor dad tells her, every scene thereafter, she is wearing the most clothes ever.
Yeah.
Every scene you see her after she becomes good, she's no longer a whore, and her typical outfit will be like a sweatshirt, overalls, a parka, a trench coat, and
a prairie dress,
and 3 layers of hats.
Well, because this movie was written by a weepy evangelical guy, there had to be like, because again, Robert Davi spends a good 5 minutes filming the actress who plays Kitty's ass in this movie, like at the beginning when she does a striptease for Hunter. Like she is tarted up to the max, and I gotta say, quite attractive. But then, like, once she starts alluding to, like, yeah, I have a bad relationship with my dad too. He's a judgmental asshole. I was like, okay, I can see exactly where this is going. And then at the end, where she calls him and like he helps her or whatever, and then he's there for like they have to have this reunion where she, like as Felix said, she becomes de-whored and has to return to the loving embrace of her stern, judgmental father, who was again a Christian missionary in China. Or actually, no, sorry, a Muslim missionary in China.
Yeah, right.
He was very upset at his daughter's immodesty.
The part that is like the very end thing is this: she gets back with her dad, who and we've established very tentatively, just because you have to read through the chicken guts to understand anything in this fucking movie. Oh, her dad's a judgmental asshole. That means he's a Republican,
Christian conservative.
Know that she is Antifa. And this movie, at the end of it, she's reconciled with him, and it answered the question that I had when I was watching the rest of this movie, which is, who is this for? What's the idea behind this movie being made? Because it's all this tedious explanation of Hunter's shenanigans, but people who are Breitbart listeners or readers or whatever, they already know all that stuff. Who are you telling? Who cares? And I realized the fantasy of this movie is, if I could just get my kid to watch it, they'll start talking to me again.
I think that's
what the end is. It's like, here it is. If they knew the truth about Hunter and they knew what the media was doing and how they were lying, and the kids, they're not going to read the websites. They're going to do their own research, but they might watch a movie. Yeah. Maybe if I can get them to watch this movie.
And like, okay, I mean, we've watched so many of these conservative films, and I think that is the baseline motivation behind almost all of them. And I think like you bring into like my I guess my final statement, like the feeling that this movie left me with at the end, because it proposes this kind of like alternate history ending where you see Trump is reelected because the media covers the story. She breaks the story about the Hunter Biden laptop after the media tries to suppress it. And if people had known the facts, the outcome of the election would have been different. And we would have been saved from, the depredations of Joe Biden in the White House.
There's like a little fantasy.
There's a little fantasy.
They show Biden, Hunter gets arrested and Trump wins in a landslide. They show the reporter going, yes, as they announce that Trump wins. But then, it's all a dream. We can't have that.
And then she's like, she's like, I guess that's the truth about fairy tale endings, or like maybe in today's world, like the truth is the fairy tale, or some bullshit like that. And then the movie, and then the movie ends with this montage of like dozens and dozens of like real news reports on like MSNBC or CNN referring to the laptop story as Russian disinformation. And I thought this was actually pretty funny and effective, because it's like, the movie said like at one point in the movie, Joe Biden's like, don't worry, like we got the Russian disinformation line. They'll just discredit anything by saying that. And then you see it really happen. And I was, watching this movie thinking to myself, like, if I cared or like was sympathetic to the political vision of this movie, like, God, that would piss me off so much. That would piss me off so much. And then they give you these end cards, like, stating the facts about like, the media, like Google, Facebook, they did actually like fucking lock down like anyone sharing stories about that. They deemed it Russian disinformation, and like fucking what we all agreed on at the time and now was a huge fucking conscious assist to drag Biden across the finish line of that election. And like,
they made their choice. He was Trump is bad for business. Get him off. Like, get him out of here.
And it has the end cards where it gives you like, black background, white text, like the truth of what happened here. And I'm thinking to myself, like, if I was at all sympathetic to the political worldview of this movie, like, I would feel so angry. But then I realized this is the exact same feeling I have in the exact same way that every liberal issues movie ends. This is like an Oliver Stone movie. Like, this is like, they just tell you at the end, like the truth comes out, like, but it didn't matter or whatever. And I just like, it dawned on me that like conservatives have now settled into like loser mindset in movies, where like they can't change reality. They can just like, oh, if we get the truth out there through our art, then like maybe people will be different, or maybe like the masses will rise up. And I'm like, dude, I've been watching liberal movies about issues like the Vietnam War or fucking assassinations or the war on drugs for years now. They all end the same way. Reality doesn't change. And like, I was like, they've become like the liberal loser mindset where they're like, we can use art to change reality.
But that's all they ever really wanted. All they ever wanted was to be able to tell themselves their own stories, because there is something unfair if you are a conservative of, I want to watch a story. I want to watch a special story that makes me feel good, and have to rely on the stories that liberal Hollywood's going to tell you. And that there's this deep yearning for some high budget, decent production value stories that affirm me in the same neutering, pathetic way that it affirms liberals. And then once you get it, that's really all you want. If they're still pissed, it's because they have to fucking go to Breitbart.com and put in their email address and then get a link and to watch it on their computer.
Well, I mean, I can't wait to see conservative Restrepo.
How many people over the age of 40 who wanted to watch this movie were actually able to?
Yeah,
after going through it. Because I had to go through about 5 different steps on the Breitbart website to fucking get the code necessary to unlock the secret movie that I could only watch on my laptop, or if you have an HDMI cable. But like, try getting anyone over the age of 40 to figure this shit out.
Yeah, this was highly complex. I had to turn 2 keys at the same time. My final thoughts, though, 2 thumbs up.
Exactly. Do not understand.
Felix, this movie was so boring. It was so boring.
How come I watched all of it?
Well, there you go.
You got me there.
And it's not just because the summary wasn't on Wikipedia yet. I enjoyed it. If your dad is mad about Glenn Simpson, watch this with him. It's a nice activity, and then maybe you could stop being a hooker for presidential sons. Wear some more clothes around the house.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope Robert Downey. I mean, this is actually apparently Robert Downey's 3rd movie. I don't know what his other 2 movies are. Yeah, he's directed 2 other movies, but I'm hoping that this leads to a Davi Sons. You know, in our culture, I want to see. I would just like to hear more from Davi. And, you know, like,
he needs to bring back the Rat Pack, him and Frank Stallone.
yeah. Oh, God. Like, oh, man. Like a conservative version of the Expendables with even older and more C-list actors than the ones they had in the Expendables.
Oh, yeah.
Frank Stallone, Robert Davi, Nick Searcy, John Voight. Basically everyone who was supposed to attend. And first of all, why wasn't John Voight in this movie?
Baffling.
Huge oversight.
Like, come on.
He would have been a good Joe, I think.
Or James Woods.
Yeah.
James Woods also.
Okay, they got John Voight and like fucking William Forsythe and Steve Guttenberg to be in that awful Roe v. Wade movie, which is genuinely one of the worst things I've ever seen. Like, this movie is considerably better than I'll give you that, Felix. This is not nearly as hateful or excruciating to get through as the Roe v. Wade movie.
That was in the bottom tier.
I don't know, though. The thing is, that movie had Jamie Kennedy in it, though, and his performance in that film is one of my favorite things of all time. So I'm torn.
Yeah, well, I put this in the highest echelon of conservative films. I'm excited to see. Hopefully, Robert Davi does not die soon. Though I think that I don't know. He's a very old man, but I hope he has a Clint thing where directing movies keeps him alive, so to speak.
Yeah. And I hope he has a Clint thing. I hope Breitbart gives him carte blanche to do whatever movies he wants to do, just to get the suits out of the room and just get some real conservative art out there.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that was My Son Hunter, a Chapo movie episode.
And one of the best movies of all time.
Shut the fuck up.
You gotta let him talk that way about movies.
Watch Performance, starring Lawrence Fox's father James, the movie that made him lose his mind and become a British evangelical Christian. What the fuck?
That sucks. That sucks. That's not good. That's
and then see him come out of his mental breakdown and then his return to movies in the 80s and 90s. He is the banker in Sexy Beast. Men or women? Oh, yes. Sexy Beast, Performance, 2 of the greatest movies ever made. Watch those, not this piece of shit. Till next time, guys. Bye-bye. Hey, episode not over. We're back, baby. That's right. Time to plug the tour. But not just plug the tour. For you, the listeners, this is maybe the first time ever. Don't get comfortable with it. But we have listened. We have listened and we have pledged to do better. That's right. All of our upcoming tour dates will not, I repeat, not ever be released as an audio episode. These are like Tibetan sand mandalas. They're beautifully constructed, and then when it is over, it will be tossed into the wind, never to be heard again. So if you want to hear our glittering insights, stunning riffs, and goofs and spoofs, you will have to attend live. So if you are one of the pigs who hates the live episodes, we are doing this for you. Or if you're one of the many, many normal people who actually like the live episodes and enjoy listening to them and think they're necessary because they would like to see us live, but maybe you couldn't make the date, well, now it's extra incumbent on you to buy tickets and come out and see us because you're going to be shit out of luck. Who knows what forbidden riffs will be spoken into existence, but not recorded or shared with the broader public. So,
I might be doing my long-awaited retort to the shitty men in media list, the hottest women in media.
So, to remind you once again of our upcoming tour, the tickets are available at chapotraphouse.com/live, but they will never, ever be released as audio recordings. So, till next time, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.